2021, 2020, 2019, 2018. What do all these years have in common? Well, besides being literally the last 4 years, you wouldn't have to search very far to discover someone who believed one of these years was the worst one in recent memory. Maybe even ever. People tend to have a bit of negative recency bias when it comes to how bad the recent years really were. Not saying the last few years have been peachy, but the worst year ever? Probably not. Not by a long shot. That title goes to a very specific year, or more specifically, a group of years. That's right, we're talking about 536. The year without a sun, and scientifically, the worst time to be alive, probably ever. So what could have gone so horribly wrong with the world to make a year literally one of the worst in remembered history? Well, practically everything, but it all began with one volcano somewhere in Iceland. Now imagine you're an Anglo-European farmer somewhere around 500 AD, growing some wheat, eating some bread, worshipping the days of the week, when all of a sudden the sky literally goes black with a mysterious fog, and stays that way for the next 18 months. Yeah, pretty much out of the pot and into the literal volcanic fire. That single volcanic eruption in 536 coated Europe and much of the Middle East and Asia with a thick layer of fog and smoke that not only made it so dark that Roman politician Calidorus is quoted in saying, "We marvel to see no shadows of our bodies at noon," but also severely stunted the shadow puppet industry. The fog and smoke that blanketed the sky drastically decreased the temperature of the entire planet. It got so cold that it snowed in the summer in southern parts of China, and crop failures occurred all across the northern hemisphere, and it is said to be the coldest decade in over 2,000 years, being nearly 35 degrees colder all across the northern hemisphere. This period of time between 536 and 660 has been dubbed the Little Antiquity Ice Age, which is a pretty cool sounding name until you realize that millions of people starved to death from food shortages and the plague. Oh, did I mention that there was a bubonic plague outbreak? While not being as widespread and deadly as the famous Black Death plague that would ravage Europe in 1346, killing over 100 million people the world over. A quick side note, I had no idea the Black Death killed this many people. Like, I knew it was bad, but holy shit, that's insane. But despite not being record-breaking, it was still, well, an outbreak of the bubonic plague, and is estimated to have killed over 40 million people, which at the time was around a quarter of the population of the entire world. The Plague of Justine is actually considered to be one of the world's first, if not the first, major plague outbreaks, and was named after Justine I, who was the Byzantine emperor at the time. And I'm not gonna lie, out of all things to be named after you, the first outbreak of the bubonic plague is definitely one of the worst.
Could I get a name for the coffee?
Yeah, it's a Justine.
Wait, like the plague? No.
To make matters worse, the whole all of your farmers are infected with the plague thing worsened food shortages all around because all of the farmers were, well, dying of the plague. This period in history is often referred to as the Dark Age. Not the Dark Age, the one around 1450, but a different Dark Age, and this one was legitimately pretty dark. Now, of course, the world eventually recovered and life returned to being somewhat normal, or as normal as life could be following 100 years of continuous volcanic eruptions, plagues, and, well, living in medieval Europe, which some would claim to be basically hell in and of itself. Anyway, this is a bit of a shorter video, but I could really care less. I thought the topic was cool, so if you guys have any suggestions for future videos, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thanks for watching.